planning was just how we need to consider protecting the key sessions. So,
Yeah.
firstly, I think it's good to identify that within any training block, if we've got a certain type of training or training session, or even if it's just one of the disciplines that we want to prioritize, we'll often kind of highlight that as a key session. And within a week, there'll only be a few of these, probably at any point between 2 and 4, what we would call key sessions in somebody who's training twice a day, almost every day. Um, but we also, as well as identify them as the key session, which sometimes it is the hardest session of the week. Sometimes it's not the hardest. It's just most race specific or most beneficial for that individual. But we also try to protect them with where we put them and how we schedule them. So can you sort of mentioned that to me a couple of times. Can you just explain what that means sort of to you?
Yeah, so I try and like prioritize sessions where I feel like the athlete needs to be at their freshest. Um, and I often think running is the one where if you're not, no one's that fresh if you're in a training block, right? But if you want it to put it in the week where they are relatively fresh, because if you're really tired or fatigued and you're doing a run session, the risk of injury just goes up
Yeah,
massively. I'd probably say that's the number one, and then even like easy runs generally, that the long run is probably the number two. So I'd always prioritize running and going, how do I fit running in within a week? And obviously we have a set schedule that we design, but out of the 10 athletes that I coach, not one of them will look the same. They'll probably do lots of different things on different days, but because of schedules
yeah,
and
yeah,
you know what it's like. It's almost impossible to have everyone on the same schedule, and we shouldn't do that. But when I look at everyone's schedule, I go, the number one thing is like, where is that run session, and are they going to be able to do it, and what are they doing the previous day, or what are they doing in the morning, um, to allow them to be at their freshest within that week, and really that's for so that they can actually do it, and because of an injury point of view.
yeah.
Um, and then the probably the next one is go, well, okay, so that's from an injury point of view, which is that run session. The next one for me would be, what are you trying to improve? Like, what is your goal over the next few months? And if you're trying to improve your biking, okay, well, if cycling is your most important thing, well, okay, other than that run session that you might be doing, or we might have taken that out, how are you then at your freshest and most recovered to then fit in that bike session? Or are you trying to improve swimming? Okay, well, how are you freshest within the week to do that? So if you list more than one, two, or maybe three things to prioritize, it then just
Yeah,
sort of
you're not
falls by the
prioritizing.
wayside.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
not really
yeah,
prioritizing it. But that's probably how I would prioritize things when I look at planning somebody's week. And that if you just did the sort of schedule design, that's what the schedule is designed to do, to sort of look after you when you're running, high intensity cycling, and then probably high
yeah.
intensity swimming, because it's a little bit less injury prone, or physically as hard as
Yeah.
as they would do.
That's
Um,
that's one thing that's always not sat so well with me is obviously a typical client works 9 to 5 through the week. The only time they've got for the longer sessions, there's particularly for the majority of our clients who come to us for middle to long distance coaching as well. That's going to be their key session. Is that the standard textbook idea would be a 4 to 5 hour ride on a Saturday or whatever, and then
yeah,
a long 2 to 2.5 hour run maybe on the Sunday. But that just for long periods of time, particularly, that sits quite uneasily with me because you're doing the run in quite a fatigued state, particularly if they didn't fuel well on that bike ride and the glycogen depleted on the Sunday. They're also fatigued muscularly and even motivation and effort and everything else. And so what I like, obviously, I still tend to use that quite a lot because at the end of the day, you do have to run on tired legs in an Ironman. But if anybody's got a significant run injury history or is significantly weaker on the run,
yeah,
I tend to flip them round the other way.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
then the only other thing that I try to do when I can is if they've got flexibility in work schedule and maybe can take like half a day off midweek, I really think if those Ironman competitors see the long, and we do tend to see the longer ride and the long run as two of the key sessions, just because of the huge ordeal that an Ironman is. It's really nice to split them apart. One of the things we've talked about in the past is how we want somebody, if they're going to be a triathlete, we want them to be a better swimmer, to be a better biker, and to be a better runner. they only need to be a better swim bike runner near race season, like near the race itself. And if so, we don't have to always run on tired legs. We don't,
Yeah.
in high rocks, they call it, compromise running. So you do like 1,000,000 squats and then you run. But that just means you're going to run absolutely shattered with bad form. And yeah, I get it that the race needs you to be able to tolerate that and to do that. But I think the thing that I like to think about most of the year is just how can this person be a better runner and a better biker and etc.
Yeah.
And that might mean that we split up the long sessions where possible. And again, from an injury perspective, that sits a lot better with me. I have to say.